10 years from now or 20 years from now, you're going to be successful here. So whatever happened here where you were crying and you feel bad, you learn from it.
This episode is brought to you by.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Chat with Mick. And right next to me is Van Dichoso, one of the 200 top CPAs in the US by Forbes magazine.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Welcome to
Yeah.
Adobe.
And it's so great to be here in Granada Hill. It's such a beautiful day. And around me, my gosh, everything looks so exquisite. And it just goes to show the kind of life that you've had here in the US because everything around us is really nice. There's a lot of European inspired furniture around us and a lot of collectibles. And you have a collectible from the former First Lady of the Philippines. How did you get to know former First Lady Imelda Marcos?
Through my mom. She was my mom's friends back then when I
Mm-hmm.
was a child or teenager. So I've known her for quite a while.
And what part of the Philippines are you from?
I was born in Quezon City.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Chat with Mick.
Left me there for 7 years with my grandparents who took care of me, and then
Mm-hmm.
I came here about around 7 years old in 1970s.
It must have been a really cool time to be in the US because, disco, is all over the place.
Back then, my parents actually encouraged me to speak more of the English language because
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
was 7 years old, and so somehow I just kind of talked more and more English. I forgot Tagalog, but I do
Mm-hmm.
understand the
Mm-hmm.
Tagalog, and I still obviously love Filipino culture and the food.
Was it because your parents wanted you to assimilate more in American culture in
Yeah,
LA?
exactly, that's what it is. Yeah.
What parts of your upbringing were reminiscent of your experiences in the Philippines?
I guess even though we're here in the U.S., we still like experience Philippine culture every day, all the
Mm-hmm.
time. We go to Philippine restaurants, food, and But at the same time, if you do have to have your regular job and work, you do have to respect the culture, and like you said, assimilate in order to be well respected and looked into and just live the American life. I was fortunate enough to be able to learn that.
So, what was it like in LA during the 70s for a Filipino kid?
Gosh, I guess like everybody else growing up, I actually wanted to be a child actor.
Uh-huh.
That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a child actor. In fact, my mom, mid 70s, if I don't know how many people are in this podcast would remember the 1970 show Fiesta Filipina. It was my mom who co-produced that,
Mm-hmm.
and it was it was I remember waking up every Saturday morning, early morning, and then going to the studio and then film with her. And it went on for weeks. And I just loved the entertainment background. My mom had three pianos at home. She was a music composer. My dad was an architect too. He loved to draw, so all that entertainment, love for entertainment was instilled in me.
And of course, everyone knows now that you're a CPA, a recognized CPA. And so, how did that come to be? Like, it's so different from being in the entertainment and arts field.
Yeah, well, when you look at the, God's plan, the ultimate plan, who
Mm-hmm.
would ever know that, me being a Filipino, which by the way, I've been named Forbes twice already. In 2024 in August, the top 200 in America, and then they just released this April 15, 25, the top in-state CPAs. So you could always Google that in Forbes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back in hindsight, there were only three professions I really wanted to get into. So one of them, yeah, I wanted to be an actor first, and then get into traditional medicine. I got into a car accident in early '84.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really bad car accident. I mean, prior to that, I did a lot of opera singing. I took acting school. I even went to John Robert Powers for some modeling sessions. So all that was in me until until such time I got into a big major car accident. I broke my toes and I compressed my vertebrae while going to. I was like senior year in high school. I was, my friends were driving our car, and so I was out for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go back to school. I had the back brace, I couldn't walk, and I was in the hospital for a month because I broke my toe. So they had surgery and all that. I healed for really staying at home basically, and something during that time I said, I don't think I could pursue acting anymore. Let me go to the traditional route, and that's when I was lucky enough, and I'm glad you're also from UCLA. You're a Bruin, being from UCLA, I was able to get admitted into the school, the university, and I thought, hey, I'll do the traditional pre med first. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the biochem and everything like that. I thought I was, I'm a very social person,
Mm-hmm.
and so what's next? Either become an attorney or a CPA. So I just kind of looked deep into myself, and I went into accounting. Can't turn back anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
now going into accounting, I went through several CPA firms here locally, like any staff member or everybody just went through the ranks in accounting. But yet I had that entertainment background in me all these years. So it kind of meshed because I still love entertainment, so I would still hang around within the entertainment industry. And so through the years, while I developed my practice, grew, I had clients from the entertainment industry who are
Mm-hmm.
actors, producers, etc., like that, and they became my clients, through their businesses, etc., etc. So that's how it kind of came full circle.
Mm-hmm.
How I become a
Mm-hmm.
from entertainment to CPA? Well, that's how it kind of all meshed together.
So it found you again.
It it's what's meant to be. It's meant
It
to
was meant to be, right?
be. Yeah,
And so,
but I'm still not acting. I can't act.
but I'm like wondering because there seems to be a dichotomy, within you because there's that creative side which is free flowing. You could do whatever you want, right? As an actor, as a singer, and in accounting, everything has is exacting. Everything has to be a certain way, right? I mean, how does that work? Because a lot of people like me are when you're into the arts or in the creative field, most likely you're not good in math.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and to be a CPA, you must be good in math, right?
I'm not a good math, so I have to use the computer, all that. But excellent question, Michelle. But the answer to that is that just like any profession, or industry, filmmaking, it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
So either when you're a producer or you have your own production company, you're there. Your motive is to make a profit. And if you don't know as a business owner, producer, the basics of just accounting or reading the financials, then you're not going to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really kind of one aspect. I guess that's what helped me. Being you know taking acting classes in the past, and being on TV and stage. That I'm kind of different from the traditional profession. I mean, I'm straight. I know what the laws are. I could guide it to you, but I still have that bubbly kind of
Mm-hmm.
entertainment personality that just kind of mesh things. But from that standpoint, in Hollywood or in entertainment, that's where I'm unique, right? Because mostly, 95% are creative. They don't have that business background, but I have that business
Mm-hmm.
background. So then I can properly advise, at least within industry, producers or any entertainers or actors who think, oh, they make a tax deduction for a certain thing, or structuring some sort of a business to make a particular movie, then at least I could advise it from that
Mm-hmm.
standpoint. So it all works well.
So you found your niche within the entertainment field.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
And would you say that that path that you took actually made it work for yourself? Like when you took that path
Yeah, I think it just all came into
in hindsight?
place. I met my partners on our studio when the president Paul Bunch. through a networking event. Many, so we've known each other probably nearly 20 years from now. But it doesn't really go just from my profession or entertainment. It goes for all professions, right? When you network out there and meet people, that's a power of networking. Just meet people for whatever profession or endeavor you want to become, and just be out there. That's how you make the connections to succeed, and that's how I think I got successful, because it's been in me since college to just join clubs that are worthwhile, meeting people, go on networking events, and just build up through the years. And then that's how I met Paul, the president, back then. And then when he started, I mean, him and another partner, Jack Kavanaugh, who started, Jack Kavanaugh, as you know, had co-founded Relativity Media. They released nearly 200 Hollywood films, back then, their heydays. So when Jack Kavanaugh and Paul started the studio many years ago, that's how they came to me, to really join them. And it's really about meeting people.
So would you say that those friends were your college friends? They've stuck around?
Well, actually, no. Paul was not a college friend. I met him during already while I was after college, or going through my career or building up my practice. But again, it goes for anybody, whatever profession you're in, your endeavor. Just network, have quality people that you wanna trust, and then I think it will worthwhile someday.
What steps did you take to become a CPA?
It was actually very hard work. You have to have certain, I don't know about now, that's years ago, but you have to have certain educational requirements. And if you do get hired at a firm, if a valid CPA firm, then there's experience requirements, you know, and that's how, I mean, it was rigorous because when you're a staff member, you're working long hours trying to prove to everybody how good you are, etc. But yeah, everybody has to go through the steps.
What specific tests did you have to take to become a CPA?
Well, you know what? It wasn't easy actually. Believe it or not, to tell everybody, back that time, I think it took me. I think there were four parts of the CPA exam you have to finish in a certain amount of period. I think 2 years or something like that. But I think it took me
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 times to pass those CPA tests. It was very, very difficult. Look, I mean, this is also for your viewers too. When you look back, and even for college students, I remember myself, like hitting myself, and you probably remember, oh, I didn't pass this test. You're crying and you feel so bad after a few days. But hey, if 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you're going to be successful here. So whatever happened here where you were crying and you feel bad, you learn from it. It's just part of your life. And so you get a little setback here, but you will be successful. So again, with me, I mean, I guess I'm proud to say I failed the CPA test many times. And even back then, I said, oh my gosh, how am I? I'll never become a CPA. Back then, I had not only work, but study for the CPA exam. So you have to invest yourself early enough, because you have to and be persistent. But again, just don't let the failures take you back. I had a lot of failures, so I'm even proud to say that, because I believe that if you don't fail, you don't cry. You get turned down. I mean, even become a CPA, even be going into career. Yeah, I did other things. I get rejected, but hey, at that time, when you're growing, yeah, it'll hurt you. But when you're successful, you look back and laugh at it.
How many years were you a CPA?
I think I got my license 96, or upper 90s or something, somewhere in there.
So
Yeah.
more than 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I mean, the path there was very difficult. Obviously, you have to get experience and be signed off by a CPA firm.
And what was that defining moment that made you want to go back to entertainment as a producer?
Well, I've always loved the you know the film industry. So back in 2018, when I co-produced the movie Bachelor Alliance, people could Google that. Bachelor Alliance made River Rock Films. I was one of the producers there, and that starred James Maslow with the Nickelodeon star James Maslow with Mitchell Musso, Hannah Montana star, and we had John Lovitz also in that film, Saturday Night Live star. In the accounting industry, we're just 9 to 5. Everybody works 9 to 5 every day. But in the film industry here, at least in the U.S., our work hours are different, right? It's in the evening and the weekends. I really didn't have any sleep because I had
How
to
did you
work.
manage being, a 9 to 5 CPA person and producer, an entertainment producer?
I didn't know it was hard to manage. I mean, I know I had staff to help, but still, you had limited time, and your body was there. It was already tired, and then and the evening, like even Friday night, you have to start going to the set already because I have to be in the set because I have to control or approve things. People go to me, approve this budget, approve extra, those things, or write checks, whatever it may be. But it's like going to the wee hours in the morning. So it was 2018, I literally really almost got sick from exhaustion. And that's when I decided, I think it's calling me to just really get out. Unfortunately, a couple of years from that, when I got rid of my practice, I had a bigger practice back then. I had two offices, Beverly Hills and airport area. But the COVID, came, right? The pandemic a year and a half later, and all studios, were not making the money. There was nothing coming in. So guess what saved me? My CPA, that's the beauty of investing in that CPA credential, and that's for everybody because it's people just started Googling me again, and I started getting clients. I'm building up the practice again, and so that's really saved me with the income coming in. So that's from 2020. It's already 2025. Our studio now has grown very, very well. We have an $18 million film that we're about to shoot in Europe. I'm excited for that.
How do you find funding for your film?
Well, a lot of times it's people who want to work with you, who really want to have, like our partners are from Europe also, who have studios in Europe, and they wanted to do a co-production with us. So we just made deals for this particular movie that we're making.
And so nowadays, representation is a buzzword, and there's a lot of AAPI movement and a lot of cry for like Filipinos and Asians to be seen out there in films and on TV. And being an executive of River Rock Productions, what is the purpose behind your films, or is there any an underlying purpose in what you put out there in terms of films?
Purpose, I guess. So we have different people who work. Even though the co-owner or I'm an executive, it does not mean I'm not. But my background is business, being CPA. It does not mean at all that I know how to read scripts, write scripts, and have that creative aspect. So that goes to a separate team of mine who does all the script writing, we have our team who does casting and all that. I mean, I could take any movie out there and I would just love it, you know. But if our team, a creative team, would look at the script or see the movie, they'll probably just X that out and say, no, that's a bad film or something. Everybody though contributes. I mean, from a business standpoint, but my other members are from the creative standpoint.
And so nowadays, a lot of people are worried about their finances due to the current economy in the United States. What's your advice, being a CPA? What's your advice for people in terms of their investments and finances?
That's a very generic, broad point, finances. And then when I have a client, and I always want them to have a team, especially a very sophisticated client. Sophisticated meaning if you have a lot of things going on, several businesses going on, etc. Just because I'm a CPA does not mean I know everything. And that's the best thing about me. I mean, is because I make sure I get a team together. if you need, because she said finances, you will need like somebody who's licensed in financial planning, a broker, somebody from the investment side who could advise financial planning, who's got a separate certified financial planner credentials, etc. So you'll need that team. Obviously, my role as a CPA for my clients is, for instance, choosing the right type of business entity, like LLCs or corporations, etc., or how to reduce audit risk, something like that from the IRS or any other audit risk, reduce taxation strategies, and structure, really basically structuring the business. But you may also need legal aspects like an attorney, right? Sometimes just naturally, like you're a business owner, you may tell your business consultant or even me that, hey, here's a contract I drafted. I want to buy this business. Yeah, I could read it, but I cannot give you legal advice. So you have to be ethical enough to say, hey, that's not my line. Now get your attorney, get your team together. And so that's what I do. You need as a business owner, you'll need a team, not just one.
Going back to your beginnings, you had a family. You had parents. So do you have any recollections as far as their advices, or when you wanted to be an actor, were they against it or were they supportive of you? Did they have any advices for you?
Well, actually, I was really kind of following, my parents' kind of footsteps because they were entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So what had happened then, I started to, back in college, I stayed with my uncle. My uncle's actually American, who's married to my mom's sister, Corey. I stayed with them for several years. So it was my uncle who also encouraged me that if I want to be financially independent, make, good money, he was he's very good investments too, and he's the one that also encouraged me to become a CPA. You want to do good, and so I followed him, and so he was the one that really kind of honed me to get into that profession. Be more, and he's right. It is a profession that's well respected, and right now I think everybody needs one.
And so you have a daughter who's in college, right? Is
She graduated like
she
5 years
graduated?
ago. Yeah,
And
fast.
what are your hopes for her?
Well, luckily my daughter became a CPA herself.
Mm-hmm.
She got licensed. Very, very intelligent. She's now with KPMG, which is a $37 billion firm,
Mm-hmm.
and she became tax manager. And it's funny because back then when she was still high school or college, as parents, and my wife, ex-wife, was a doctor, a pediatrician. We're also guiding her. What do you want to do when you grow up? Exactly what you want to do? Whether she wanted to go medical field or go to accounting, it was her choice. She had two influences here, but we didn't influence her, go do this, do that. But she chose to be in accounting. So in college, she did intern for me, or well, I hired her for another firm, and she really liked it. That's what she's doing now.
So she's following your footsteps,
I
right?
hope so. I hope she'll be successful.
And so, how did the Forbes recognition happen? So for 2 years in a row.
I'm really quite surprised. I guess when you're out there, they probably, I think they had, like, they were looking for CPAs. You get these notices all across the nation,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get nominated. Either one of my staff or somebody I knew nominated me, and then you could go through the Forbes website and look at their nomination criteria or
Mm-hmm.
vetting criteria. Apparently, a year of research, and I got interviewed by Forbes, and whatever research qualities or criteria they use. The good thing about these prestigious magazines, or is they're real.
Mm-hmm.
That's what.
Time to shine, time to shine, shine bright, be the star you are, yeah. Time to shine, time to shine, shine bright, be the star you are, yeah.
Don't miss out. Want to be seen? Want to be heard? Want lots of exposure? Ask us how.